introduction in a row. We're going to have, at 30 seconds left, yellow is going to be thrown up, and then when you're out of time, red, right? And then we're going to go down, and each person is going to have 1 minute to answer the questions that we ask. Same sort of deal, 30 seconds, and you're out, and we are going to start again on the left with Mary Washington. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
I'm Mary Washington. You know me. I'm currently a state senator for the 43rd Legislative District, and I am running for mayor because it's time to turn a page. It's time to write a new chapter in Baltimore history. I've been fighting for the end of selling people's homes for unpaid water bills. You know that's the fight that I've been doing, and we've won that fight. We need to continue that fight. I've been fighting to make sure that homeless youth have a place to stay. I've been fighting to make sure that our communities are safe. And then also fighting the attempts of the Trump administration to turn back everything that we hold dear in Maryland. Well, now the time is to turn that fight here at home in Baltimore City. I feel that time after time, the city has shown its dysfunction. We pass legislation in Annapolis, we offer opportunities in Annapolis, and then when I come home as a state senator, frankly, because of the dysfunction, I'm not able to do the work that I know is needed to be done for our city. And I am tired of Baltimore breaking our hearts, time after time after time. You deserve a candidate and someone who has integrity, who has honesty, that you know is not a part of the pay-to-play politics that has been a part of the past. You need a mayor that is committed to not over-arresting. You need a mayor that is committed to making a Green New Deal for Baltimore City, because we know that is the way that we end crime. We rebuild, we create homes for homeless. We use the opportunity to create green infrastructure to give jobs to low-income people. I'm asking to be your mayor because I know that I have the experience, I have the strength and the hope of bringing people together. Lately, I've been talking about myself as a walking coalition. I represent the people in this city who, based on race, class, their sexual identity, what neighborhood that they grew up in, their occupation, have been on the outside. Well, now is the end of that. I'm going to stand up for you because I know what it's like to be looking on the outside and saying, recognize me for who I am. I'm tired of being disappointed by legislators that are more focused on their own pockets than on you. I'm Mary Washington. I want to be your mayor, but I need your help. Thank you.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Tharu Vignaraj, and I'm running to be mayor as well. There are people of good faith up here that care deeply about this city. There's no question about that. Each of us has a story. Mine starts on the other side of the world a long time ago. I was an immigrant and refugee from Sri Lanka who was the son of city school teachers. My mom taught at Poly and Morgan State. My father taught at Edmondson and Douglas, at Southern and Western. I was the product of public schools myself, from Edmondson Heights Elementary and Woodlawn High School. I had a chance to do some things that not enough kids in Baltimore got a chance to do. I went to Yale for college and Harvard for law school. I was president of the Harvard Law Review before Barack Obama made it cool. And then I returned to Baltimore and devoted myself to service. I was a law clerk for Justice Breyer. I was a federal and city prosecutor. And then I was Deputy Attorney General for the state of Maryland. I'm running to be mayor because this city is in crisis. It's been in crisis for some time. But we have an opportunity to write a different script, to write a vision of Baltimore that we can be proud of, that could be a template for the nation, perhaps the world. I pledge to cut murders to below 200 without mass incarceration, without zero tolerance, without cash bail, without mandatory minimums, but instead in a way that we have done before in this city and many others that we can be proud of, that is sustainable and durable. I've pledged to be the first city in America that without federal or state approval legalizes and taxes marijuana. That we would do to the state of Maryland what Colorado and California did to the federal government. We would take that money and exclusively earmark it for universal pre-K for every 3- and 4-year-old, free college for every graduate of a Baltimore City public high school and any institution in the state of Maryland. Every elementary school would become a community school, and the additional funds would be available to grow the endowments of our HBCUs. These are the kinds of things that we have to pledge and promise to do, and then we need the tactical plan and the strategy to actually get it done. Again, my name is Tharu, and I'm honored to have a chance to talk with all of you.
All right. Good afternoon. I'm City Council President Brandon Scott, and I am a lifelong Baltimorean. I'm a son of Baltimore and Park Heights to be in particular. I am asking to be your next mayor because this is the most important election in Baltimore in a generation, in my lifetime. This race is not just about who the next mayor will be, but what kind of mayor they will be and what they will stand for. Will the next mayor be tied to the status quo that we know has developed Baltimore in a place where some thrive and most of us do not? We struggle to be even recognized by the status quo. Will the next mayor of Baltimore be someone who's leading a new generation? Because you have to understand, this race is not, or nor should it be, just about who the next mayor is going to be. It also be about what kind of structure of government they're going to have. Because the current structure of Baltimore city government is broken. And there's only one candidate in the race running for mayor who is literally right now trying to reduce the mayor's power. That's me. We will make the Board of Estimates the only the 3 elected officials. We will change the way veto overrides are done in Baltimore by reducing it. And look at my work. I've been leading the way on the city council and throughout the state to reform the Baltimore Police Department. Leading a fight in Annapolis to bring Baltimore's police department to be a local agency, not one controlled by Annapolis, because while we have Senator Washington, we know we have folks in Annapolis who do not believe that we know what's best for Baltimoreans in Annapolis, right? Leading that fight, bringing income-based water billing to Baltimore City when the mayor tried to kill his own legislation this past summer. That's the kind of leadership that I've been doing in Baltimore each and every day. We are right now pushing overdose prevention sites and harm reduction coalition things into Baltimore City, and we will do that and even more. This is what this choice is about. Who can win this race and who shares the vision to building a better, equitable Baltimore for all, and that's why I'm asking for your support to be the next mayor of Baltimore. Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Try that again. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thank you. So, for those of you that don't know, most of my work time has been in ministry. So I'm asking y'all to do something that'll make me feel more comfortable so that I can speak and project. I'm gonna ask you to turn to the person to the left and say thank you for prioritizing Baltimore and being here today.
Thank you for Fridays, Baltimore, being here again. Hey, Devani.
Turn to the person on the right. Turn to the person on your right and say, and I will continue to do so.
All right, amen. Pass that pack.
So, I wasn't born in Baltimore. I've been here for some time now, and Baltimore is home. I've had the opportunity to, folks in the back told me they can't hear me. All right, can you hear me now? Okay. I've had the opportunity to do community work in several different states. In New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, California, Texas. And I gotta tell you, I've been listening to a lot of things, and a lot of the things that the folks that want your votes have said are very similar. But I'm gonna tell you this, and y'all need to hear me real clear on this. In the words of Nino Brown, the problems in Baltimore are bigger than Baltimore. And until we have leadership that understands that they do not need to reinvent the wheel, they need to make it work, we will continue to have the problems. If we continue to have leadership that does not get to the root of the problem, we will continue to have the problems. If we continue to elect leadership in this city that doesn't understand that most of what they're saying, some of which is not even legal to do, is closing the door after the horse is out, and doesn't understand the concept of prevent is better than cure, we will not fix the problems in this city. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Mary Miller. Our city is consumed by crime and corruption. We spend our days talking about the number of homicides, corrupt politicians, and squeegee kids. But underneath these headlines are the larger issues of structural racism, poverty, and inequality. Our elected leaders have done so little to fix these issues in Baltimore. I believe your city should be working for you, not against you. I think you deserve to have a quality education. You deserve to be safe. We need to attack crime in Baltimore, but we need to bring restorative justice to our communities. I believe you have the right to be healthy. You shouldn't live in an unhealthy home, and you shouldn't go to a school that doesn't have heat. I believe you have a right to a quality education, and the public school system should be your first choice. And I believe you have the right to thrive in Baltimore, and the black butterfly gives the lie to that. We do not give opportunity to everyone in this city. I've been a resident of Baltimore for 34 years, and I've worked in this community for decades. I served President Obama in one of the highest jobs at the U.S. Treasury. While I was there, I worked to help homeowners who were facing foreclosure, small businesses get loans to survive, the city of Detroit when it faced financial collapse. My time in the Obama administration inspired me by showing me how your government should work for you. And that's what I want to bring to Baltimore. Thank you.
My name is Ricky Vaughn. Of course, I'm one of the many candidates running for mayor of Baltimore. A little bit about me: I'm a product of Baltimore, a proud product. Born and raised in East Baltimore, I was a high school dropout in the 9th grade. To now I have an MBA, PhD, June of this year. I was a minimum wage worker at McDonald's. To now my wife and I own quite a few restaurants. I was homeless as a teenager. To now a homeowner. And more importantly, I've always been in the community even when I was 14 years old. The reason why I'm running for mayor is because I done heard the BS before. It seemed like we only address issues when it's campaign season. That's when we try to get youth initiatives and youth involved, when we want them to pass out our damn literature and put up signs. But before then, in the whole year, we never go out to them, we never meet them, and we never understand what their point of views are. We've talked about the same issues year after year after year. Lead in our water, issues with our youth. We talk about the squeegee kids. Well, guess what? A lot of folks up here are campaigning off of what they're saying they're going to do. I'm telling you what we have done and what we will continue to do, and regardless of April 28th, what we're gonna do. We hired squeegee kids when they were water boys, when they were walking MLK with water bottles and juice cups and sodas. We brought them in. We made sure they had a place. Not only did we hire the squeegee kids, but we hired their parents and in 2 occasions their grandparents. So when you talk about changing the culture of Baltimore, a lot of this, you're talking about crime, we never talk about root cause. We never talk about mental health. We never talk about youth initiatives. We never talk about the homeless issues that we have in Baltimore City. I'm looking to have your vote, and hopefully I will have your vote because I'm one that's bold enough. I'm going to say what's not been said and don't go against status quo. I'm going to replace every damn body in City Hall because that's how we rebuild and repair Baltimore. You start over from scratch. We got a lot of folks in senior positions that so-called represent us, but they scared of us. They're not out in the communities. And 2, they're not even from the damn community. We're bringing folks over from other states when we're passing over talent right here in Baltimore City. We should be mad as hell and fired up. That's why I'm running for mayor of Baltimore, because I'm tired of the BS that they keep saying every damn year.
All right.
Hey everybody, my name is Dante Swinton. I'm the youngest candidate in this race at 31. I work paycheck to paycheck like most Baltimoreans in the city, as a researcher, organizer, and even as an Uber or Lyft driver. So maybe if you go out tonight, I might give you a ride. So I'll tell you this though, despite all that,
Tell the
I have
truth,
a
baby.
vision for this city, and that vision involves actually tackling the root causes. And that doesn't mean that we have to police the hell out of everything. We spent $2 billion on policing over the last 4 years alone. That's more money per person than any city in this country. That's more than Chicago. That's more than New York. It's not working, and it's because it's not tackling poverty. You can hire as many officers as you want. That's not going to give anybody a job. That's not going to actually eliminate the issue in that community. So what I want to do is move that money into the community. So that's 1,200 affordable, 1,200 houses that'll be revamped by that money for affordable housing. That's $18 million in small business grants for that community to build up wealth. That's $9 million to go to community-owned grocery stores to deal with food deserts in those communities. Not only that, creating a green economy in the city would actually create at least 4,000 new jobs. So that means dealing with the tree canopy, dealing with recycling. If we actually hit a 70% recycling rate in the city, it's 15% right now, we'd create those 4,000 jobs alone. So we have the opportunity to create unionized jobs that are full-time. We also need to expand the Charm City Circulator into the Black Butterfly, so into Mundelein, into Cherry Hill, into Curtis Bay, and make sure that people actually have access to a free ride so they can get to these jobs. But also I want to make sure that we give power back to the people, and that means eliminating the Board of Estimates and actually having the City Council, the Mayor, and the Comptroller as a collective deal with the budget. But not only that, giving power to you. So a 6-month participatory budgeting component where you can actually have an online vote for the budget in April of every year. Beyond that, I I also want to make sure that we move the school board out of my office and into the public to be elected every 3 years instead of having us appoint everybody. And last but not least, definitely deal with ranked choice voting so that way you can actually have more than one candidate as your preference and make sure that you have your voice heard. But one thing, we definitely have to recognize the climate crisis. For one, it disproportionately impacts black communities and low-income communities, and the fact of the matter is it's intersectional with violence as well. So the more heat there is, the more violence there will be. If we're not actually tackling that, we're not dealing with the situation. So I thank you.
All right.
Hello, I'm Yolanda Pulley. I agree with every last person up here. I'm not even gonna sit up here and make it seem like I'm gonna repeat everything that they say. I agree, but my difference is I'm a different kind of candidate. My thing is y'all need to sit back and ask, what do y'all deserve? You deserve a mayor that's gonna fight with you and for you against the water bills. Let's talk about BG&E. What mayor ever went up against BG&E? I'll be the first mayor to go up against BG&E because they're raping us. It's a mess. I know, because I understand the people, because I'm one of the people. I don't want to talk like Ricky Vaughn because when I get the passion come out of me, I'm the angry black woman, so I don't want to do that.
It's okay to be angry.
Hold all that in. But yes, I'm angry as hell right now about everything that goes on. Just like he said, let's tackle the underlying root cause of crime. What is it? It's everything that keeps a person back from thriving. When we're tired of being ignored, we lash out. So when we lash out against BG&E, when we lash out against communities, it's for a reason. My thing is, the power belongs to the people. I will give y'all the power back. There will be no decision in City Hall made without the people. I understand you because I am you. I'm a people's titian, not a politician.
All right. That was nice.
So the first question, and we'll start on this end with you, Yolanda. The Baltimore Police Department eats up ever larger portions of the city's budget, yet the well-being and safety of our citizens remains unaffected. Will you commit to cutting the Baltimore Police Department budget and redirecting the resources towards community building and investment? And if so, what kind of ideas do you have for what that can look like?
I think a whole bunch of the police budget need to go because just like he said, more police don't make you feel safe. It doesn't. My thing is that the police budget needs to be cut at least 65%. Like I said, adding more police don't add to, it's not gonna do anything as far as making me feel safe in Baltimore City. My thing is that we need to give it to the grassroots organizations that's already doing the work without the payment. They deserve the money because they're in there. We need to go back to community policing. It needs to be about us and not about and less about them. My thing is the police department needs to be put back under the mayor for accountability.
All right.
Yeah, so absolutely. I mean, at minimum, $230 million needs to be moved out of that budget immediately, and that actually goes to communities. So as I mentioned, we need to actually provide affordable housing. As 76,000 households in the city only make about $18,000 a year. So if you're not actually providing affordable housing, people are going to pay 40-50% of their salary to rent alone right now. So we need to deal with that. We need to actually put $12 million toward mental health facilities and safe consumption sites in communities so there's actually access to mental health to deal with the traumas that are going on right now. We also need to move more money into community-owned grocery stores, as I mentioned, so that way we can deal with the food deserts and actually build up community wealth as well. But that also means investing in the small businesses, actually creating rec centers that have programming for folks and have longer hours as well. So if we're actually building up the communities we talk about, instead of trying to police them into the ground, that's how you build a better society. That's how you eliminate crime. The more you decide to tackle and arrest people, is the more money you're wasting because you're not actually dealing with the issue. And so I'm proud to be the only candidate with a specific plan that talks about cutting the budget and where that money would go. Thank you.
All right.
So, absolutely great question. I would definitely reallocate funds from Baltimore City Police. I've been one of the few candidates as well who've spoken out about it and said that we have to take more money from our policing and put it back into our education. Again, root cause. When you go back and you reinvest in education, it cuts crime. The other part about that is we got to make sure that we look at the structure of Baltimore City Police. one of the issues we have in Baltimore is that you want neighbors and family to come out and what we have, the no snitching rule, let's call it what it is. But at the end of the day, how can we encourage them to continue to come out and speak up when we're not even protecting them? We saw what happened to the young lady, the business owner. We talk about go out and become business owners. She goes to our police department, asks for help, and damn it, they can't even protect her. We have to look at the structure of our police department also. The other part about it is absolutely the money needs to go to grassroots organizations. We got Out for Justice, Safe Streets. We got a whole bunch of community-based organizations that the money should go there. That helps build the community. It also helps build a relationship with our law enforcement. Why don't any of the mayors currently or any past administration have anyone from community organizations in their cabinets right now? You want to know why? Because they're scared. I know as a mayor I would have community organizations as part of my cabinet every day of the week in City Hall.
So I've always liked the phrase, show me your budget and I'll show you your values. I definitely think we could spend less on public safety in the city of Baltimore, and I would begin with spending on police overtime. I'd like to devote more of our budget to public education, to public health, and to employment development. Thank you.
All right.
So, if we were to look at the budget for the police department, and it's an interesting phrase that you used about the priority and the budget showing the priority. If we understand that prevent, again, is better than cure, and took some of those funding and put it into education and put it into economic development that actually made sense for the people that live in the city, we would have less of a need to hire extra police because crime would go down. When people have jobs, when people have a roof, when people have the belief that their children are going to graduate and be able to get a job and go to school and take care of the next generation, the desperation goes away, so does the crime. Put your money where your priority is. Schools and jobs.
Yes, is a short answer. There's actually a video of me saying this to the police department last year during our budget, that moving forward, they're gonna have to do more with less, because the first and most important thing that we have to do when redirecting funds from BPD is giving it to city schools so we can fully fund our school system, something that we should have done when I was in high school, so let's just start there. Also, we had these great programs like Operation Safe Street. We saved it from elimination from the previous mayor. Now we have 10 sites. We'll double that to 20 because we know that kind of Safe Streets program works. It saves lives each and every day. Also, we fought to have recreation centers open on Saturday. We'll get it to be on Sundays now, and we'll expand programming in those rec centers as well. And the Office of Employment Development. We have an Office of Employment Development that simply just right now does youth works. We will invest in that so it actually trains people for job, workforce development, re-entry development, going into the prisons when people are coming home to neighborhoods like Sandtown and Park Heights and East Baltimore, so that we can solve the issue before it starts, investing in the promise of Baltimore instead of investing in the failure.
All right.
We have a $3.2 billion budget. We have the highest tax rate in the state, and we have no idea where the money is going. Every agency, starting with the police department, needs to be subject to a top-to-bottom audit so we know where the money is being spent and where it is being misspent. Let me give one concrete example of where we know the money is bloated and misspent. A couple years ago, we set aside $12 million for police overtime. Anybody know how much we spent? $48 million. We overran our police overtime budget by $36 million. What we have to do is actually put in place safeguards to make sure that never happens. Those 8 GTTF officers that perpetrated the worst national policing scandal in recent history, they collected $1.8 million in police overtime. One year they were collecting $2,000, the next year they were collecting $20,000, $40,000, $60,000, $80,000 each. We have already pledged to put in place an audit for automatic over $10,000. We need to crack down and make sure that money is not being misspent.
All right.
All my colleagues here, we need to right size the police budget. First, we need to do a risk assessment in every city agency and find out not just where we are overspending in policing, but also in every single department. One of our first obligations is to fully fund the Kerwin recommendations. So what would that mean? That would mean automatic pre-K. That would mean investing in the community school model, which says every single school isn't just a place where we teach, but it exists within a community. And so we're going to find out, what do the neighbors need? What do communities need so that the children can arrive to school ready to learn, but also that their parents have the education and the job opportunities, and whether it's the drug treatment they need or the job skills or the GED they need. So then these schools become these bastions, not just of education, but of community building. We're also going to set up community health centers. Right now, getting help for substance abuse or behavioral health problems, there's stigma. As I said earlier, I know what it's like to be on the outside and afraid to get the help that you need. So government can set centers, and we will establish 9 centers throughout the city to provide that support. And then finally, we'll make sure that we use the money that's redirected from the police to invest in youth works, because our young people want to work and they need a leadership and a mayor that's willing to help them get there.
All right.
So you talked about, show me about you, I'll show you your values. And one of the other things that can tell us a lot about values is how you're getting funding and how you're funding your election. So, your campaign. So we wanted to know how you're funding your campaign, how much money you're getting from outside of the city, and how much you're getting from individuals within the city. And so I wanted to start with current City Councilman Brandon Scott, and we'll go this way and back. Yeah.
We like to mix it up.
So the overwhelming majority of my donations come from people in Baltimore, right? People that live here, people that work here, people that are really care about Baltimore. Now we do have some money coming from outside the city, very few. For example, I've been honored to receive the endorsement of the People for the American Way. We know it's a great organization that does great work here, so we have a donation from them. I've been honored to have the support of many of my young elected official friends from across the country, so we have donations from them. What I believe in is creating a better way for us to fund elections. This is why we have passed one portion of the Fair Election Fund. We're now going to go back and fund it, and we're going to do that before I leave the office of City Council President. And then when I'm mayor, we will enforce that and make it happen by charging people who donate to themselves $50,000 or more. We will tax that and make the funding go towards the Fair Election Fund, so that now more Baltimoreans can have direct control over how their elected representatives are chosen. Thank you.
I really like that last idea. We pledged it a couple months ago, and I appreciate that Brandon is also taking it up. We have raised a lot of money, and we've raised a lot of that money from Baltimore, a majority of which is coming from donations of $100 or less. We've had to raise a lot of money. I ran for office a couple years ago, and I realized how hard it was to take on the establishment without money. So I'm very sorry that I needed to go and make sure we got money from people that cared about Baltimore, that wanted to see a change in Baltimore. But here's the most important thing, which is that every single one of those folks was told, you get nothing from me except honest, open government. That's all that they got. That's the only pledge that they got. And what we said to each of them was, we're going to end the pay-to-play culture, and we're going to also end the culture of retaliation. That you don't have to donate to one of the people that's in power because they're holding up your permits. They're going to stop you from getting something. That whether you gave to my donation or one of my colleagues, my door is as open to you as it is to somebody who never donated $1 or somebody who donated a lot. Thank you so much.
So all of my career, my primary constituents have been unaccompanied homeless youth, formerly incarcerated women, and they don't have big political action committees that are writing $6,000 checks. As a part of this campaign, we have over 800 contributions. 75% of those contributions come from Baltimore City. The majority of those contributions are $25 or less. My median contribution is $100. We have situations in this country and now in this city where people can put $500,000 of their own money and buy an election. We saw that happen at the federal level. We see that might be happening again at the federal level. Please make sure it doesn't happen here in Baltimore.
That's right. All right.
I'm proud to say I'm the candidate that turned down all the money. I want nothing. I didn't even open up a campaign finance report because I didn't want no money to accidentally slip up in there somehow. I don't trust people. I don't trust the system. So I'm the candidate. I don't have no money, and I'm not gonna go out there and I'm not gonna ask poor residents to go into y'all pockets and fund me. I'm not gonna do it. I'll grassroots from the bottom up. That's the way I chose to do it. Thank you.
All right.
All right, so, the majority of my campaign funding is me, and I don't have a lot of money, so it's not a lot of money. So, So there's that. I mean, I have a couple of friends that, from across the country that send maybe $5, $10 or whatever. That's about it. But you know what? I think primarily that shows why we're still stuck in the same situation. We're so obsessed with this idea that you've got to raise thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to lead a city. Millions, in fact. I mean, the median income for the city is $47,000. I mean, there have been so many ad buys already that are well over that. So, like, we need to spend that money on the people, on building up the community, on providing jobs, as opposed to dealing with the fact that, oh, I got $800,000 in my campaign to try to win in April. I don't want to buy your election. I want my vision to be the thing that leads to the support that I get from you. Thank you.
All right.
I'll piggyback off my good friend Dante. Actually, I don't want to buy anyone's vote. Ellen Vaughn, can you stand up? I gotta give it. That's my baby mama, my wife, my business partner. So, when you ask the question, where do your money come from? That's where my money came from. $175,000 we invested in this campaign out of our own pocket. We did that because we believe in Baltimore City. I didn't want to take any money from any special interests or anything else. I don't want to owe them anything. I want to get into a race that my only commitment and I owe someone to is the folks in this room right now. That's it. The other part about it is we've spent money before this election. We put $80,000 in Baltimore City Public Schools last year. We put $117,000 a year before that, before we even thought about running for mayor. We put our own money in this because you put your money where your mouth is. We wanted to get into the campaign, get into the race, represent the people of Baltimore, not take money from any special interest, and we have gotten donations also. I'm proud to say that 99% of our donations have come from Baltimore City. Not 25% or 10%, 99% have come from citizens of Baltimore. $1, $5, and $10, and that's to continue how we're gonna run our campaign and run this race and represent you.
So I'm not a career politician. I entered the race on January 7th. I have no war chest to come into this campaign. I initially seeded the campaign to get going and began fundraising. I can say that all of my contributions have been from the local area, with the exception of my father, who lives in upstate New York and believes in me. I would also say that I believe firmly in public financing of elections. I think that would put everyone on the same playing field, and I hope that we see that in Baltimore.
Ooh, I'm feeling a little queasy from this question. Have y'all ever played the game Jenga? Lots of pieces, you stack them up, see what falls, what stays? Okay. So if I'm understanding correctly, first of all, let me just say, my donations to my campaign are small, none of them are corporate. Now, I've learned a very valuable lesson in this cycle. Corporate leads to consideration. Consideration leads to oops, or returned funds, or more oops, or incarceration. I don't want none of that life.
I got you.
I've spent 5 decades on the outside of the criminal justice system, trying to study and learn how to keep that recidivism rate down. I'm not trying to be a statistic. And it is unfortunate that many of our elected folks talk that game, but they don't walk that walk. If that was the case, public funding would be funded and active this cycle, but it's not, because it wasn't convenient. Y'all do that.
All right.
So the climate crisis is on us. We're already seeing the consequences of it, and it hits marginalized communities the hardest. So how will you address? And I know you only have a minute, so you can't give a comprehensive answer, but as best you can in a minute, how will you address the climate crisis, climate justice, and sustainability for the city? Shannon, let's start with you because you were last time. Would you like to start?
No.
Okay, and then we'll go this way.
Okay. So the reason why I hung my head and said Jesus wept is because we have a lot of crises in this city right now. When you look at the climate situation, okay, we have a lot of chemical stuff going on in the city, a lot of things that are just mixing up a whole bunch of stuff in the environment. And I think that it's beyond climate. It's about what we are allowing our electeds and other corporations to do to us. It's not just what we're allowing them to do the environment, which is now something we're all paying for. It's what we are allowing our electeds to do to us. What you breathe, what you drink, what's in your pipes, that's what we're creating. That is the crisis.
All right.
So two often I see Baltimore reacting to things rather than being proactive on things, and that's what I think about our preparedness for climate change in the city. We have an Office of Sustainability. I believe they did a climate action plan in 2015. I think it's time to update that. I worry a lot about our readiness for crises and being prepared. I think about things in Baltimore like air quality that we're not dealing with adequately. I think about tree canopy in the city. We could really do a material amount of good in public health by lowering the temperature differential across the city with the planting of trees in neighborhoods that are currently deserts. So I think there's a lot of things we could be doing. I don't feel that we're prepared, and I think that we need to get on top of that well. Thank you.
So, great question again. I will talk about what we're currently doing. So I'm proud to partner with different associations on planting trees. We do it in the Guilford Association where me and my wife reside at with our 3-year-old. I know Locust Community Association is doing it. We're doing it in the Park Heights Drew Hill community. These are things we're already doing out there in the community. The other part about it is, again, I've said it, and I'm trying to be very respectful. Why do we make this an issue only when it's election time, right? We know our schools got lead in it. But are we doing anything about it? Are we addressing it? Are we holding their feet to the fire? No, we hear the broken promises over and over about what we're going to do, or I'm going to change this, but yet we see it. We just gave our CEO of schools $30,000 damn raise, but yet we still got schools that got lead in the water and issues with heating and air conditioning in it.
And mattresses at the front door.
And mattresses and broken glass. The other side about it, and I'll be honest, any person up here who say they have all the answers is wrong. As a mayor, the job of a mayor is to bring good collective folks together with bright ideas. I'll be the first one to stand up here and tell you, I don't have all the ideas, but collectively we do. And one thing with my administration, the person I will bring in to help lead that will be this gentleman right here. So, I think he is one of the few candidates that can put all of us to shame when it comes to environment.
Yes, Lord. All right.
I really appreciate that.
That's a shout out.
Yeah, I mean, so, okay.
No pressure.
Right, exactly. So Baltimore is the 19th worst place in this country to live with asthma. Our childhood asthma rate is twice the national average. Our adult asthma rate is about 40% higher than the national average. We lose about $156 million every year to miss school, miss work, and medication costs because of that asthma rate. And that has to do with the level of pollution that we have when it comes to all the vehicles in the city, as well as our largest polluter, our trash incinerator right downtown. That's put out 10,000 pounds of lead over the course of its whole lifetime. So some of the work that I want to do is to make sure we actually deal with the climate crisis, which also means we deal with the economic injustice that's going on in the city. As I mentioned, 4,000 jobs in a zero-waste economy, actually building the infrastructure for a clean energy economy in the city. Moving forward, we've also worked with Brandon to make sure we had the Baltimore Clean Air Act passed last year so we could shut down the city's largest air polluter. We have to make sure that we pay attention to this as Baltimoreans, because by 2050, we're going to have a climate that's closer to Nashville to northern Mississippi. So that's going to be more heat, more electricity bills, increased violence. If we don't actually have the intersectionality on this fight, then we're not going to change anything. So I think that's what we have to do with any leader that moves forward in the city. Thank you.
All right. I agree with what he's saying. I like that. That's so smart.
All right, I think this is the one we've had the most fun at, actually. Very much. Thank you all
Good.
so